As the new year approaches, at the time I'm filming this, it's 2021 and 2022 is right around the corner. Hope everybody had a great Christmas season. The contents of this video, though, applies for any time. What I mean by that is any year, but also any time of the year. And what I want to do in this video is talk about what is the value of a personal trainer or diet coach, and when is it a good idea to have one, and when is it not? And again, a lot of this is going to be depending on what you want in a trainer or a diet coach. But what is the ultimate goal? So first of all, why hire a coach? Why hire a coach to do anything? Why hire a mechanic, right? If your car is broken, if you're like me, I could open the hood and be a total poser and tell you, all the parts of the car and whatever and be completely wrong. I can do some minimal things, but I can't really fix the car. Like if there's something significantly wrong with the car, I'm going to take it to somebody who knows how to fix it. Now I'm assuming that the mechanic is qualified, right? But, and we'll get into that in the next point, is the first thing is understanding that maybe you can't fix the problem. Okay. Now exercise, unlike a car, is actually pretty easy to set up. You can go on the internet and find a couch to 5K, or you can go on and find a plethora of dietary advice. The value of a coach, though, in this particular case, is how to set up an exercise program perhaps that's suited for you. Maybe you have some limitations. Maybe you have a home gym that doesn't have a full equipment barrage like a commercial gym. Maybe when you're looking at your goals, you want to gain some lean mass or weight loss. What's the best way to do that? This is where a qualified coach can be helpful. One of the things I see in programming, and specifically I'm talking about training programming, is progression. Like, how do you progress a program? And it's not just suffer, blow out, done, I don't want to do this anymore. If there's a reasonable progression to a program, you'll stick with it and you'll see the results that you're looking for. I think a good coach will also be honest to say the results you're looking for are not going to happen overnight. Okay, you can see some pretty dramatic things happen within a 12-week period, especially 12-week period. But if there's long-term gains and body composition changes that are desired, it's going to take longer than 12 weeks. Many times I see the Insta photos, right? The IG photos, the gram. I want to look like this. Well, that person has been training for over 4 years or 5 years, or right, they've been meticulously watching their diet, and there are some genetic factors, of course. But there has to be this long-term approach, and that's what I'm going to get into a little bit. So number one, though, is recognizing why you'd want a diet coach, why you'd want a personal trainer. And of course, part of this video is peddling what I'm doing, which is online personal training, remote personal training, and diet coaching. So if you're interested in that, I'm not going to hide what I'm doing in this video as well. I'm trying to offer my services too. Number two, though, and this is a very important thing, is make sure the coach is qualified. You can get a certification for diet or training, personal training, for $50. There are a lot of very well-known certifications, especially in the diet side of things. And while those aren't bad information, they're not complete. It's kind of like taking Psychology 101 and saying, well, okay, I'm going to go around and diagnose all my friends with all their psychological issues. It's not how this works. There's an experience side of things, and there's also further education. It's not just a certification. So if you're evaluating a personal trainer, if you're evaluating, and I see this in personal training a lot. I think I've told the story in a video before. Is my wife went to a gym, and I usually don't say what I do. I'm not I don't say I'm a professor of exercise sports science and a diet coach and a personal training for over 20 years, etc. That was just a shameless plug for myself. Sorry about that. I was trying to convince you that I know what I'm doing. Maybe that doesn't mean anything either. But I don't know how many times my wife did this, sorry, and this has happened before. But the young person that showed my wife around the gym said, "Oh, and we have these personal trainers. Look, here's the bodybuilding trophies. So what? So what if they have a bodybuilding trophy?" And in fact, I've had clients many times that work with bodybuilders. I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but it's not the only criteria. But they've worked with bodybuilders that have these really outrageous programs and high protein intake and just things that are not realistic because they're bodybuilders. That's akin to saying, "Hey, this is Dave. He's an NFL football player, and he's going to train you for weight loss." Well, Dave does some things that are a little bit different than you would like to do. Like Dave's going to go do some high-end activities. He's going to have a diet that's high-powered. He has a lot of time to maintenance that. This is the focus of his life is playing NFL football, right? The focus for you is to try to lose some weight. And while it may be cool to run around with Dave for a little while, it's going to get old and you're going to get hurt and you're not going to get to where you want to get to. Dave's going to go off and play in the NFL and you're going to be left behind with your goals not reached. Okay. So when you're evaluating a trainer, make sure that it's not just about, what they've done in some athletic or bodybuilding realm or something like that. So how do you evaluate a trainer and diet coach? Well, a diet coach, again, a certification for both is great. A diet coach, though, registered dietitian, if you are special, if you have diabetes, if you have PCOS, whatever it may be, a registered dietitian, RD, is the way to go. If not, you could work with a diet coach like myself that when you're evaluating, though, you're looking for a credential first and then more than a certification. Maybe they have a master's degree in dietetics. Maybe they have a PhD like I do. Maybe they have over 25 years of working with weight loss clients. And when you talk with them, this is an interview for you, is that they're talking about solid dietary advice and not, hey, I'd have them take this the Ashwanda route and it made their head, their hair grow back and they lost 50 pounds. And lots of talk about metabolic damage and thyroid problems. And that's the kind of person you probably want to avoid. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not saying that there isn't some value in some of those supplements, or there isn't thyroid damage, or there isn't metabolic injury, but those things are not the way they're defined typically. They're usually behavioral things that are excused as metabolic issues. When I say there's metabolic damage, there's clinical issues, right? Like somebody has hypothyroidism, like diagnosed or Hashimoto's, right? I'm not talking about this ambiguous idea of like, well, you just can't lose weight because you've dieted so much that you've damaged yourself. No. Okay. So be careful with, if I take these 15 different supplements and balance them just right? Some of the functional medicine out there is dangerous. And I think there's some people that I think they all mean well. I think some of them try to do it well, but you're chasing your tail after a while. I've seen this happen so many times of chasing, all these different supplements to fix this, and what you're doing is wasting a lot of money and time that you could have been using just basic dietary principles. So when you talk to somebody, what is their philosophy of weight loss or weight gain? Do they read any research? Not to say research is the only, standard, but you're trying to build this idea of who this person is. It's not just, hey, they look great in spandex and they lost 50 pounds last year. Who cares? Okay? Who cares about their own personal experiences to some degree? I'm not saying they have zero value, but what they do in terms of education, what they're going to do for you is what you are after. And the same with the training. Just because they look super jacked and they look great all the time in the gym and they're super perky doesn't mean that they know what they're doing. Okay. Or they're, watch them train somebody. Are they falling asleep? I've seen this happen. This is just terrible. Clients fall, personal trainers is rolling their eyes while their client's not looking. You want somebody that's engaged with you, and maybe you need super perky, fine. But do they know what they're doing? Ask them, how do you progress your programs? How do you build muscle mass? The answer should be primarily through volume. How do you get somebody stronger? The answer should be lift heavier stuff, right? And is there a progression to that? I have these limitations. How will you work around these limitations? Okay. Those are good questions to see if somebody's qualified. So credentials are helpful. Credentials are a great place to start. If somebody's at a reputable gym, that's probably a good place to start. But there's a lot more to it than that. How long they've been working with people, right? I don't have a problem with evaluating somebody on how they look in terms of, I think there should be some sort of standard that if somebody's going to coach you in diet or, weight training or whatever, they probably should be doing those things. And so to at least some degree, so they should look, I don't follow a perfect diet all the time. I'm not going to sit here and be a hypocrite. I don't train as much as I want to, but I've spent time doing both. And I spend time doing both now in maintenance. So there should be some of that, of course, but a lot of it should be on you to interview. I look at this like when people do, major house renovations or even just anything through that, I want a reference. Who have you worked with? What have you done? Show me some projects. Right now, of course, trainers like to put things on the wall like this is Sally and this is Sally 8 weeks later. She's super jacked. Okay, fine. But what does Sally look like 2 years later? What does Sally look like now? How's Sally doing? Right? Ask questions. It's okay to ask questions. And if they get upset and uncomfortable with your questions, then it's probably somebody you shouldn't work with. So anyway, that's number 2. Make sure that the person has the right credentials and is actually somebody that can get you to your goals. So number 1 is, do you need a coach? Okay. A coach can be helpful. Number 2 is, evaluate who the coach is. And then number 3, when you're looking at what you want to achieve, be realistic. And I mentioned this a little bit already before, is be realistic. So, and this plays into my kind of grand point. All right. Looking great for March and April, maybe for this pool season, is wonderful this year. But what happens if you gain it all back, right? What the goal is, my goal as a coach, even if somebody wants to work, and I've worked with people, I have people that have worked with me for years and years now. Okay, they just liked working with me. Okay, we meshed and they like my programming and so on, and they'd rather have me just do it. Fine, I don't mind doing that. But my ultimate goal is for the long term. So not only can you look good for the pool party in May, but you know how to manage your diet in such a way that, and I've talked about some of the videos, that you're not so restricted in your eating that it's an all or none, in or out approach. It's not a realistic and sustainable way to eat and train. You can't just go all out in the gym all the time. Even the most ardent gym goer, I've been training for over 20 years. I don't train like that. And there's times when I have, and then there's times I have to back off. And that's part of the process, is learning how to manage a real life, not a CrossFit athlete that looks super jacked all the time because all they do is they're an athlete. And I just pick CrossFit. You can pick anything, right? Any athlete looks super jacked. How do they do that? It's because they don't have any life stress. They make multi-million dollars a year. They have personal chefs, and all they do is train all day. I had a stretch of that when I was a college football player. And man, I was 265 and 11% body fat. I looked great. I was shredded. I was huge. Okay. That was awesome, but it wasn't realistic, because then I had to go on to the real world at some point and manage things. Now I have a family and two full-time jobs in some cases, right? I mean, these are all shared realities for many of you watching. And if you don't have those realities yet, enjoy it. Enjoy that time that you can train and focus on your diet and your training, with more attention. But that'll fade to some degree as you have a family and move on in your career or whatever it is that you do. There's going to be more competition for your attention. So how do you deal with that? This is my point. Is yes, you work hard, you sacrifice, you do all these things, you eat carrots, and when you don't want to eat carrots, and you do all these things, and then around April you're okay, looking great, and then the summer comes, maybe even made it that long, and you look great and you feel great, and then you get tired of it. Like, I remember having a client, right? I was sitting down with him, and he just kept asking me, yes, but can I eat a cheeseburger? Right? That was his only question. You telling me all these great things, but can I eat a cheeseburger? And my answer to him was, yeah, eat a cheeseburger. You have to learn how to eat cheeseburgers. If you like cheeseburgers, you have to learn how to eat them. Meaning, you don't eat cheeseburgers every day, but you can still have a cheeseburger once or twice a week, especially if you're doing everything else well, meaning that you're just being adherent to your exercise program, not trying to kill it in the gym, not trying to do 6 days a week when you don't have time for that or energy for that, okay? But doing something realistic and understanding there's waves to how we train. I mentioned this before. There may be times when you can go hard because it's summertime and you're a school teacher and you got time to go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week, and you have more attention to your diet, right? But then you go back to school and you don't have that anymore. And it's not, well, I'll just kick all that to the curb because that was a fun ride. No, it's like, okay, let's pull it back to 3 days a week. And what can I do with my diet now to stay on track? Maybe I'm not as strict as I was before, or maybe I just don't have the time to maintenance my diet. Even if it's not a strictness issue, it's just a time issue. What can I do well to make sure I maintain going through the holiday season, right? Holiday bloat. How do I enjoy the holidays and enjoy the moments with family and the Christmas parties and the New Year's and all those things? How do I do that and yet not gain 15 pounds? What if I could gain 3 or 4 pounds instead? That's learning how to eat and enjoy myself, and not just like, well, I can't do that. I'm sorry. I got to maintain. No, that's no fun. Who wants to live like that? Nobody. You should feast when there's time to feast. Have a good time. But it's learning how to manage afterwards. It's learning how to manage before. It's learning how to manage on a vacation, right? This is the long-term goal when you're working with a trainer or a diet a coach, or both, if the person's doing both, and I do both at the same time, shameless plug, is how do you set up this long-term perspective? It's a mindset. I call it the balance, capital T, capital B, the balance. How do you find the balance? How do you understand there's going to be times of bloat and then times you get it off? Bloat comes off quickly if you deal with it, right? You mentioned the holiday bloat. Okay, I gained 3 pounds, big deal, but I have a plan after. I have a plan after to get this off, and then after that, I have another plan once I get the weight off to know what to do in order to eat normally again, so I don't have to try to, again, all in or all out. I'm restricted, or I'm just screw it, right? That's the restricted or screw it cycle. Okay, we want to get out of that. So when you're interviewing somebody, if you want to work with me, I'd love to work with you. If you want to work with somebody locally or work with somebody in person, great. Ask them these long-term questions though. What's the goal for the long term? Where are we going? Okay, I don't want to tell the coach, hey, I want to hire you to help me get started, but I don't have the funds maybe. Okay, and I understand that as a coach as well. I don't have the funds to do this forever. So how can I what are we going to do in these 3 weeks, 3 months to get me on track for the long term? And those are the real questions that you should be asking. And those are the questions that'll, again, produce those long-term results. So you can get closer to that Instagram picture. I'm not saying you will get there. I think people get it depends on what picture it is. But you certainly can get healthy. Like we forget about that sometimes. Remember, this is about health, right? You want to feel good too. You feel good, you move more, you lose weight. It's all a cycle. Okay. But those long-term questions is what you're after. So, question 3 is where are we going? Point number 3 of this is where are we going with your coach? What's the outcome? And then how do I get to this long-term mindset where maybe I don't need a coach? Maybe you need a tune-up every once in a while or an extra program or whatever it is. Or maybe you gain some bloat over the holiday season. You want to help get, clear it off for a month, but then you're back to your normal scheduled program, so to speak. And that's sustainable for the long term. All right, I hope you find this video helpful. If you did, like it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I have a lot of videos on various topics, more background physiology type of stuff, all the way to the practical stuff like I'm talking about today. And I will see you in the next video. Dr. Miller out.